Hello. So I think if you're following this story, and I don't think you should not follow this story. It's terribly important. Yesterday we saw the end of Act One of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, and today we've started to see the beginning of Act Two. Now all the buttons for it have already been established. We had the idea of the false flag. And that false flag, we thought, was going to be claims that there were troops in the Ukraine or people in the Ukraine shouting anti-Russian slogans, that there was a genocide, an alleged genocide in the Ukraine and so on, in the Donbass area. No. What we've now got is Mr. Lavrov, Sergei Lavrov, this extraordinarily brilliant diplomat, pointing out that NATO has now expanded, and NATO has now put its troops very close to the Ukrainian border and very close to the Belarusian border, exactly the mirror image of what NATO and the West is claiming about Russian troops surrounding the Ukraine. This is an extraordinary turning of the tables and an extraordinary realigning of the story by Mr. Lavrov and Mr. Putin. I think it's brilliant, I think it's scary. At the same time, there was such a sympathetic interview given today of Mr. Zelensky, Vladimir Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, and I think tellingly he spoke in English, so off the cuff. I wish Mr. Lavrov would do this. He could also do this, and it comes across so positively. Do you want to join NATO? That really isn't the issue, says Mr. Zelensky. The issue is establishing our independence. As an independent country, we have our own right to self-determination and so on. Very clear and, as I say, very sympathetic. But I think this story is going to continue. I said this a few days ago. The story is not over yet. Even if Mr. Putin withdraws his troops, it's going to be very slowly. And I think at the moment there is now, Mr. Lavrov has now provided a reason to increase the Russian troops. So the other thing which I think is particularly useful to remember is that in Russia, this is not a major news story. This is not headline stuff. This is not on the evening television news, nor is it bannering the newspapers. What is there is Western hysteria and unreasonable demands made by Western leaders. And most Russians are probably unaware of this build-up of troops around the Ukraine, near Rostov and so on. So the more noise we make, the more we feed into a particular narrative. Anyway, do follow the channel, do ring the bell. Bye-bye.